Welcome to this webinar where we are going to talk tonight about first the keto experience and how to get the most out of the Bredesen Protocol, especially using diet. So what I have found is that 80% of the Bredesen Protocol and all of the benefits that we see really come from the lifestyle components, which I'm going to share more about, and we're going to dive deep into tonight about keto, because I want you to leave with a takeaway. I want you to get tons of value from being here with us tonight. We know that you've taken time out of your lives to be here, and we have a really special announcement. We're so excited. I can't wait to introduce you to Chance, who's right here. Maybe say hi. Thank you. You're going to get to know him tonight. And Marama is a big commitment for a lot of people, and we're working to change the narrative, just tell people how much is possible for those suffering with dementia. And a lot of this you can do from home. We get that a lot of people need extra help, and so we are here to provide that for you. And as much as possible, we want people to not need a place like Marama. Okay, so we're going to dive into it. So everyone knows, housekeeping, this is recorded. You are going to have access to this. You will get an email that will give you a link to the recording. So if you can't stay for the entire hour, we get it. Don't worry, you're going to get a link. And then feel free to add your questions to the chat, and also let us know where you are. We have people who join us from all over the world. So please introduce yourselves to this community. We love that, and let us know where you're joining us from. So Marama is an immersive experience, and we get how hard it is. I can't tell you how many people I talk to who explain to me just over and over again that they read the Bredesen book. They get it. They get the whole idea. They get that it takes work, and they want to be able to do it. They just need more support making it happen. And so, I can't tell you how often I have a woman on the phone who I totally relate to, right? She's raising her own children, managing her own household, and she has a parent who needs help. And she's juggling so much that adding the layers of complexity that it takes to implement the Bredesen Protocol for someone at home is just more than they can take on. And so I wanted to create a place where I would want to live. I wanted to take the worry off of these, particularly women, they have all this weight on their shoulders trying to implement this at home, but also the spouses, right? The husbands and the wives who want this for their loved one. And so what I really am trying to do here by creating Marama and all of the offerings that we basically have is allowing you to rest easy, knowing that your loved one is taken care of, that you are doing all you can to support them in the best ways possible so that they are getting the best for their brain health. So that's why we're here. And if you want to, I want to introduce you to Chance, because you can see him here. I'm just so excited that we're going to talk about keto, but let me just first tell you our exciting news. So for over a year, we've been telling people that we have no space at Marama. And that just breaks my heart, because I want to be able to help everyone who reaches out to us. So what we have done is decided to partner with Chance and his team at Axiom and Clear Mind Center in Wichita, Kansas, to make 14 more places available for people who are looking to get the benefits of the Bredesen Protocol. So tonight, we're going to give you all of the details, and we're offering a huge discount for the first 14 people who sign up. So if you want to just cut to the chase and go apply right now, that is the website, the link right there on this page you can use. And then Carrie, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat. Carrie is there. She's our director of operations at Marama in San Diego, and she is here to answer your questions in the chat. So if you have specific questions, definitely put them there, and then she'll get the links out to you so that it's easy to navigate. So you and 80,000 other people got this email to be here tonight, but you showed up for this webinar, you signed up. And so tonight we are offering the people who are on this webinar, and only the first 14, this special discounted rate for the move-in fee. So if you are serious about this, please go, because we're going to be out of bed soon. So go and apply, and then you can feel free also to just stick with us and get more details about the keto conversation, and of course, the more details about the Kansas location. So add those questions as well to the chat. We're excited to have you here. So just so everyone knows, I think a lot of you know me from the summit. It's been an absolute privilege to host that. It's been a privilege to learn from Dr. Bredesen. I started my clinic Solseri back in 2017, right around the time I trained with Dr. Bredesen. And then I started to gain a reputation clinically around helping support people in reversing dementia. And I had someone reach out who said, like the women I was describing to you, she said, hey, my uncle has dementia. I get the Bredesen Protocol. I read the book. I love it. I want him to have access to this, but I can't do it all for him. I've got teenage kids and a full-time job and a house and a dog and travel coming up. I just can't do it. So where can I send him? And I looked around and there wasn't a residential care facility that was doing anything like what we're doing at Marama and what we're going to start doing at the Clear Mind Center. And so I thought to myself, well, how hard could this be? And started Marama. And ever since then, we've been learning about what's best for people suffering with dementia and how to put the best in brain science in the place where people with dementia live. So after starting Marama, of course, we've had lots of interest from people who are thinking about doing this themselves, operators in the space of senior living, people like Chance. And I'll tell you more about why we decided to partner with him. I get about an email a week asking, how can we do this in our senior living facility? And there are really important reasons why we decided to partner with Chance. So as I mentioned, you probably know me from the Reverse Alzheimer's Summit. So much fun for me to get to learn from all of these incredible people, really, really amazing people who I get to have every year on the Reverse Alzheimer's Summit. And really, like, what we are dedicated to doing is getting the word out about what's possible for those suffering with dementia and how many people, I say over and over again, Alzheimer's is optional. Now, that doesn't mean it's your fault if you get it. It just means that we know better now. We know how to prevent this and we know how to reverse it. And it's up to us to do the work. All right, so we'll dive into a little bit of that. But Linda is one of the first people I saw who had dementia in my clinic at Solseri. Very soon after I trained with Dr. Bredesen, I saw Linda and her husband. They came into my office and I was a skeptic. I had been told over and over and over by very well-meaning, very smart people that there was nothing you could do to help someone suffering with Alzheimer's or dementia. And I took that at face value, right? I thought they were right. These people knew more than I did. And so when I heard Dr. Bredesen speak at a conference, I was very skeptical, but I was intrigued because the way he was describing the issue that is Alzheimer's was in a complex way, that there was more than one thing that caused it. And that if we were going to solve a complex issue like Alzheimer's, we needed a solution that matched that complexity. So we needed to throw everything at this. We needed to think about it as what are all of the things, a comprehensive list of all of the things that could potentially be impacting the brain negatively. And then piece by piece in a systematic fashion, take the things that are negatively impacting the brain out and add the things that are supportive in. So Linda came to me with her husband and she was this bright, smiling, beautiful soul of a human. However, she could only answer with one-word answers, only with yes or no, really. I would ask her a question like, what did you have for dinner last night? Or how much exercise did you get in the past week? And I could see her wheels spinning in her brain, like she understood the question, but by the time she went to answer, she had forgotten it. She couldn't find the words to answer my question unless it was just a simple yes or no. Her handwriting was affected. And of course, you can imagine her relationship with her husband was very detrimentally affected. But she had these bright, beautiful clothes and this great big smile. And she was just a pleasure to be around, even in that state. So we did a MOCA score. We did a test. This is a worksheet that takes about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on the level of cognitive decline to do. And many of you have probably seen this. It's on a scale out of 30. So 30 is a perfect score and anything over 26 is normal. And then once you get down into the teens, this is very significant cognitive decline. Linda's MOCA score, the first time we saw her at her baseline visit, was a 2 out of 30. This is severe disease. And you can see here that her copying of the cube is very small and in the upper left-hand corner. When she goes to draw a clock, the only thing she can remember to do is the circle. Just 6 weeks later, you can see the difference. Now, she's not going back to work as a teacher, but she's starting to put numbers on the clock. She's starting to draw a cube that's a little bit more in the size and shape than it was even just 6 weeks later. Just 6 weeks after getting on the Bredesen Protocol, she had a MOCA of 7. She was bickering with her husband about something that had happened the night before, and she was answering with more than one word. Her handwriting had also improved. You can see her handwriting is a little bit better even here in the numbers. It was incredible. And the first thing that came to my mind was like, what did we do? Did we do it wrong 6 weeks ago? Like, did we get this wrong? I was in disbelief. I couldn't believe that she had transformed so much in such a short amount of time. Now, her and her husband were not skeptics. They were all in. They dove in fully. They did not just dip their toe in the water. They started going to ballroom dancing classes 3 to 4 nights a week. They got fully on the ketogenic diet. She got all of her amalgams out of her mouth and got all of the dental work done that she needed to. They moved out of a moldy bedroom. They actually moved their bedroom to the living room to get out of the moldy area. She got on all the supplements, all of the hormones, everything that Dr. Bredesen said that we helped facilitate, she did it, and she got the benefits of it. It was incredible for me to see, and it proved to me what is possible for those suffering with dementia. Care, love, diet, exercise, the right environment, and all the right nutrients can make an enormous impact, and they can do it fast. It takes work, but it's worth it. And at Marama, what we aim to do is take the work out of it for you. So at the Clear Mind Center, we are doing all of this for you so that you don't have to worry, did I get the right toothpaste or the right shampoo? Do I have the right air filter? Is there mold in this building? Is there mold on the mattress? You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. We've done it for you. I was at a funeral recently, and a friend's husband was killed way too young in a car accident. And his brother gave this very moving, beautiful eulogy. And he said something that really stuck out to me. He was describing how his brother would send these unique, funny text messages. And then he said what a lot of people say when someone's gone too young, too early. He said, what I would give for one more text message from him, what I would do to get one more text message from my brother. And I thought about it later, and I realized that that's what you all do as caregivers. That's what we do at Marama. We do that thing that I would do anything. That's what we're doing to get one more text message, to get one more summer, to get one more Christmas, to get that time, that special time with the people we love. We're doing it. That's what this is. And so I just am so privileged to work with people who are so dedicated and willing to do this hard work. And so thank you for showing up. You guys are really the inspiration, just as Linda was, that helps us do everything that we need to do to make sure that people get the benefit of these relationships and of the whole Bredesen protocol. All right, so I want to share a little bit more lighthearted here is how much fun it is to be at a place like the Clear Mind Center or at a Marama. So this is a typical day at a Marama, and it's basically broken up into, so our meals are here in orange, and that's what we're going to talk a lot about today is the ketogenic diet. And then there's lots of exercise. There's a walk in the morning and an exercise circuit in the afternoon. There's also meditation every day, creative things, lots of community building, and then engagement with the daily chronicles, something that we do, or writing, using your own handwriting and writing about what's going on in your day-to-day experience if you're at Marama, so that you can share that with your families and also look back at your own handwriting and remember. So there are four, excuse me. All right, sorry, it's not advancing. There are 4 pillars at Marama. And the first, so we're going to talk about the ketogenic diet, but I want you to understand that that's just part of what we do at Marama and at the Clear Mind Center. So the first is the ketogenic diet. And as I said, these pieces are the 80% of the benefit comes from doing this 20% of the Bredesen protocol, right? So it's the lifestyle is where you get 80% of the benefit. So all the supplements and all the testing and all that stuff, that's important. But what's most important, where I see people get the most benefit, is from doing the lifestyle components that are offered at the Clear Mind Center and at Marama. So the ketogenic diet is what we're going to go into in detail, but it's also that healing environment where the toxins are out of the way and there's a Zen-like experience where the brain can rest. And then there's brain healing activities that engage the brain. There's also the exercise that gets the blood flow. There's all of the things that we do in like red light therapy and sauna and biomats and all of the engagement, like the creative arts and the brain games that keep our brains stimulated, and making sure that the entire day is kind of built around that is what we do best. And then there's the exceptional care. We hear from other people in the senior living world that it's very rare to have caregivers expect residents to get better, right? And we often, as humans, will rise to the expectations. So when caregivers expect our residents to get better, they do. When you expect them to go downhill, when you expect aging to be this awful process, that's what you get. You get those expectations. So we have created this environment, this diet, these activities, this day-to-day routine, and that caring love from the caregivers. All of that training are these 4 pillars that I think of at Marama. All right, so the keto basics. Before we get into that, I want to share just personally that I get into ketosis. And one of the reasons that I am choosing to partner with Chance is that the first time we met, he immediately told me that he was also in ketosis. And I was telling him earlier today that I woke up this morning kind of groggy and struggling to get out of bed because I fell out of ketosis on Thanksgiving last Thursday. So it's been about 5 days and it is already catching up with me. I don't have the energy that I typically do when I am in ketosis. My brain isn't like on it the way it typically is. So Chance, I wanted you to just tell everyone a little bit about how you learned about the ketogenic diet and what you personally experienced.
Well, I'd be happy to do that. Thank you, Dr. Sanderson. Can you hear me okay?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear okay? Testing, 1, 2, testing. Yes, can you hear me now? Yes? All right, great. Nothing like technical difficulties. All right, so thank you for that. Yes, I have been in the ketogenic lifestyle for about 3 years. I like to joke that it started not long after I moved to the Midwest, where people couldn't understand what I was saying because of my slang and my me being from South Louisiana. I had a bit of an accent, if you will, and so there was this intervention, like maybe if we put him on a ketogenic diet, his brain will slow down and he'll be able to articulate more clearly and we'll know what the heck he's talking about. So obviously none of that's true. Some friends of mine 3 years ago was introduced to the ketogenic lifestyle, and after participating in it for about 3 months, convinced me to give it a try. And even though 3 years ago it was much harder to get into the ketogenic lifestyle because it was so new and somewhat controversial, the resources and the support and the knowledge and the information was much more difficult to come by. The keto flu during the transition was something really real for me. However, after about a week being in ketosis, it was like a light bulb switched in my brain. Things became crystal clear. Things were in almost high definition. Even colors for me were much more vibrant. I could think more clearly, more strategical. And I tell you, Dr. Sanderson, it could not have happened at a better time, because when I started this journey, it was very close to the time that the pandemic started. And as we will discuss here shortly, I'm in healthcare, and we faced, and still do to some degree, some of the most incredible challenges that an organization could possibly face during the last 3 years. And being more clear-minded, being more strategic, being more present, and having additional energy made a significant difference that allowed my organization to weather the COVID storm, because many organizations did not. And so I figured I'd say those few things, and I'll leave it there unless you have other questions.
No, I love it. Like you got an extra edge because you were in ketosis. You weren't on that blood sugar spike and drop and spike and drop. And, you mentioned that just a few years ago, it was harder to find like the research and be convinced that this was the right thing to do. And that's the benefit that we have is like we've done the clinical trial at Solsari and we had everyone get into ketosis. And what we saw is that the higher those ketone levels, the more people got benefit from the Bredesen protocol. So it's not one thing. It's not just about keto. That's why I described those 4 pillars. And also, of course, refer back to Dr. Bredesen's work all the time. There is more to it. And like Linda, you're going to get the most if you can dive fully in and immerse yourself. But if you do one thing, it's the ketogenic diet. And so let's go into what the ketogenic diet looks like. The goal is to change your metabolism. It's to shift from burning sugar for fuel, glucose, sugar, carbohydrates are all the same thing. I'll use those interchangeably in this conversation. It's to change from burning sugar for fuel to burning fat for fuel so that your brain turns on. Your brain prefers to burn ketones or fat for fuel over sugar. It will burn more efficiently. It will more efficiently make ATP, or the fuel that our brain runs on, out of fat versus sugar. And so the focus of the diet is on fat and protein and veggies, of course. And what we want to do is limit the carbohydrates to between about 30 to 50 grams. Now that's different for everyone. Some people are really lucky and they can have 50 or 60 grams of carbohydrates a day and still get into ketosis, into measurable ketosis. This is kind of like you would prick your finger and get blood glucose levels. You can also prick your finger and get blood ketone levels. And some people need to be down and restricted to like 30 grams of carbohydrates a day. This is very low levels, but it's worth it. As Chance and I both described, it really makes a huge difference in terms of like turning your brain on. And we've seen this in the literature. Just in January of 2022, there was a feasibility trial out of Florida that showed that a small trial, 9 participants, but all of them got into ketosis. And in just 6 weeks, their cognition was significantly measurably better. So we know that getting into ketosis has a huge, huge impact on cognitive function. And it restores metabolic balance. So the side effects are weight loss, as long as you want that, right? We do heavy cream and we do, because not everyone wants to lose weight, especially as they age. Sometimes you want to maintain weight, but the side effects are weight loss, are better balance in terms of blood sugar. So people will reverse type 2 diabetes this way. They might not need their insulin or metformin anymore. They can get off medications quite often. Also, blood pressure often gets better. And then more energy, better mood, better sleep. Lots of other really important and wonderful side effects from getting into ketosis. There is a keto handout. So stick with us if you're curious about ketosis, but also know that at solsari.com, which Carrie will throw that into the chat too, if you don't mind, there is a keto handout. So if you want more of these, if you want a PDF of how to do the ketogenic diet at home, that keto handout is a fantastic guide to getting started. Lots of people can get into ketosis just from reading that 5-page document. All right, so what is required to get into ketosis? A willingness to rethink healthy. So a lot of people think of fats as unhealthy and bad. There are good fats and there are bad fats. And what we want is all of those good fats and lots of them. So even things like heavy cream, a lot of people have thought of as a bad fat for a long time. But if we're restricting carbohydrates and we need to give our body fuel, and that fuel is going to come in the form of fats. And so we want lots of them, particularly if we are trying to avoid weight loss. So I often will recommend that people put heavy cream in their coffee or in their tea in the morning. Add lots and lots of butter and olive oil and avocado and all of as much fat as you can possibly consume. And we need to kind of flip that food pyramid that we were directed by, the federal government to follow in the 80s and 90s. We need to flip that on its head to some degree and have lots of good fats and really, really, really limited carbohydrates. We need to be willing to give up processed foods. We've got to be open to cooking a whole new way. We need to be committed to the process. Chance mentioned the keto flu. Some people feel worse before they feel better, and that can last 2 or 3 days. And so committing to getting through the process is important. We need to be willing to forego typical convenience foods. So some of our patterns that we've had in the past about how we eat and maybe that we're really attached to, we need to be willing to let them go and create new patterns around food. This can be hard. This can be really challenging, but it's worth it. And I think of it like bicep curls for your brain. So one of the things that we want on the Bredesen Protocol is to engage our brains in new ways. And cooking and planning meals, looking at new recipes, going through the process of creating meals that you've never created before, maybe even shopping at a different grocery store, certainly buying new things from the grocery store. This is all a workout for your brain, exactly what we want to get that brain in the state where it's learning and engaging in new ways, and you're getting the benefits of this approach. All right, so what to let go of? You don't have to worry that this is a diet that's going to make you hungry or feel deprived. Many people report feeling very satisfied, and actually it can reduce your appetite to some degree. And sometimes we need to watch out for that and make sure that people are getting enough calories. You do not need to worry that you're going to have a diet made up of shakes and bars and meal replacements. There are some great keto bars out there. I sometimes have them. And we can direct you to some of those good ones, but you do not need to have a diet that consists of this. In fact, we'd prefer that you let go of processed foods and have all of the really good, healthy, satisfying foods. And things don't need to be perfect, right? Like we fall off the wagon and we get right back on it. There is a steep learning curve where you are learning a lot about your own body and its metabolism. Particularly, I learn a ton when I measure my ketones, or I had a continuous glucose monitor when I got into ketosis in May, and that was so helpful. I learned so much, and I was far from perfect, but still got so many of the benefits of being in ketosis. You don't have to worry that you're going to need to go to 18 stores and get fancy, exotic, or expensive ingredients. It's just not the case. You can do really simple, really tasty, very wholesome, very satisfying meals relatively easily. And we're going to give you some ideas for that tonight. Okay, so I'm curious about some challenges that you face. So I'd love if you guys would just add to the chat, what is your biggest hurdle? If you could have anything to make the process of getting into ketosis easier, what would it be? Would it be a personal chef? Would it be meal delivery? Would it be moving to Marama or the Clear Mind Center? What would make this easier for you? And what's most confusing about the keto diet? We want to know your questions so that we can get you answers, because I want you to get the benefit of this. I've experienced it. I have watched my patients and the residents at Marama experience the benefit. And so we want to figure out any of the challenges that might be standing in your way and get you solutions to them. So please add those to the chat. We want to hear from you. All right, so hopefully, this is going to be recorded, so don't worry. If you don't have your camera ready, don't worry, you're going to be able to access this later, but take a picture if you want to of this particular slide, if you can. This one and the next one is a recipe for you. So this gives you some ideas of how things work. These are 4 days a week for 3 weeks at Marama. These are some of the things that our chef has cooked. And so this is just a sample menu from 12 days at Marama, and it'll give you an idea of how delicious and how varied the diet can be. It doesn't have to be the same thing every day. You can really mix it up, get creative, and have fun with the ketogenic diet. One of my favorite fun things about the ketogenic diet is fat bombs. And I always have these in my refrigerator. I make them with my 4-year-old daughter. She has a blast doing it, and we can mix it up in lots of different ways. If you have a favorite fat bomb recipe, please share it in the chat. This is kind of a basic one that we do regularly. And so again, take a quick picture of this. This takes like 30 minutes. It's really simple and easy, a lot of fun. And Lexi, one of our star care partners over at Marama, she loves making fat bombs, and she gets super creative with like mint ones and red velvet cake ones. And I mean, you name it, she's got one. Peanut butter, she does seasonal ones, like she's amazing, and puts the rest of us to shame, but it's great. And then I put them And we put them into a big glass mason jar and just keep them in the freezer. And whenever you have a hankering for something sweet, you can grab one of those from the freezer, and they're very, very satisfying. Everyone loves them. Absolutely delicious, and a great way, especially when you're transitioning into ketosis, if you're having cravings for sweet, this is a great way to get that really satisfying snack that gets that craving, satisfies that craving. Here's some other keto snack ideas from Marama. These are things that we do over there regularly. Deviled eggs are a great option. And you can, again, get creative with different spices on the deviled eggs, cauliflower pizza bites, full fat cheeses, superfood meatballs that have zucchini and other veggies mixed into the meatballs, smoothies with almond butter and unsweetened coconut milk, just making sure that that's not going to raise anybody's blood sugar. Green juices are wonderful. Homemade protein bars, again, you can get super creative with different flavors on that. Guacamole with kale chips, or sometimes we'll do cucumber or celery, different things that you can dip in the guacamole, getting that really good high fat in. And then the chicken salad lettuce wraps, those are delicious. Love being at Marama when they have those on the menu. The veggie tray with keto dips are a great way to get high fat in. Again, you can use some of those dairy bases or non-dairy bases and get really yummy, delicious, flavorful dips on those veggies. Yogurt, we do also a keto granola over at Marama that is a lot of seeds, and mixing that with yogurt, of course, grain-free granola, so that, again, the blood sugar isn't going up. And you can do a few berries on top of that. So delicious. Nuts, of course. And again, at Marama, we'll get the residents involved in flavoring the nuts. So putting different spices on them, roasting them. And then we put those in jars so that they can pull them out for snacks anytime. And then, of course, our favorite fat bombs. So hopefully this is giving you some ideas and proving that it does not have to be hard or depriving. You don't have to feel deprived when you're in ketosis. So meal planning goes a long way with ketosis. We've all been in that kind of state of rushing around, running errands, especially this time of year between the holidays, where we're trying to get a lot done and we get so hungry or hangry even, and we've got to just grab something on the go. So planning ahead for those moments goes a long way when it comes to getting into ketosis and staying in ketosis. Choosing recipes and allocating the time. This is often the hardest part. And I would highly encourage you, if you're doing this at home, get a coach. Get a coach early on. At Solsari, we have a couple of coaches through Apollo, Dr. Bredesen's company. There's coaches available who are trained by Dr. Bredesen. We work with two, Kaliko Amona and Julie Luby, and they are phenomenal. If you want connections to them, we're happy to give you them. They are fantastic, and they can help if you need more support getting on this program. They are having a coach is such good bang for your buck, because they will help you to figure out what those challenges are, help you figure out where to carve out time in your week, and help you choose recipes, do all of the challenging things. Creating a shopping list, again, getting ahead of this by planning ahead. Getting to the store. Do you have the time to get to the store? Do you have to make multiple stops, or can you do this more efficiently? Can you have it delivered? That's been one of my favorite things since COVID, is getting groceries delivered has saved me so much time. Other supplies. So as we start to think about making new recipes, how complicated and creative do you want to be? Do you want it really simple? You can totally do that, but you might need some new supplies, things you never thought about before, like a zester, or food processor, or other things that come up, a garlic press. Prepping ahead. This is something that I've learned to do over the years, and I kick myself every time I don't get it done on a Sunday. It's just washing things, cutting them up, getting them ready so that it's quick and easy during the week when I'm in a time crunch. And then making those delicious keto meals, setting aside the time, and most importantly, enjoying it. Okay, so now I want to segue into introducing why Chance and why Axiom. You know, his team, we've been getting to know each other over the past 6 months or so, and they are passionate about the same things that I am. The first day I spoke to Chance, as I told you, he was in ketosis. Like, he's already on board personally, and they are so committed to supporting and benefiting the humans that they serve. Like, I've just seen this over and over again. They intuitively knew that there was a better way to do things in their senior living facilities, and they wanted to work with Marama so that they weren't reinventing the wheel, and they're getting the benefit of everything that we have learned over the past few years. And I feel so lucky because we are getting the benefit of everything that they have learned over the past many, many years being in the senior living industry. And although I wasn't surprised when I learned of all these awards that they've been getting, I was extremely impressed. Like, these guys are doing it right. And not just sometimes, but all the time. They have been given some of the most rare awards, right? Not everybody gets these national quality silver awards. I think there's, like, what did you say, 5 in the nation, and they are getting them. They have been selected and recognized for the excellence that they deliver over and over and over again. And so I can't tell you how excited I am to be partnering with them, because they bring the wisdom and experience from their decades of being in the senior living industry and serving seniors. And we are combining it with this Bredesen approach. And the synergy here is just so, so, so exciting to me. So Chance, the other thing that I love, of course, about Chance and the team that he works with is that they are a ton of fun. It is a joy to work with them. So Chance, I would love for you to share your story with everyone who's joined us tonight.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, first off, Axiom Healthcare Services is the name of the organization that I have the pleasure of being the CEO. I'm also one of the owners to the organization. We've been around for a while, and we're in the Midwest region. And for what it's worth, we take care of about 400 to 500 people a night at different levels, primarily in the senior care arena. And we employ about 1,000 people, and we are about a $60 million a year revenue company. So we're kind of a force to be reckoned with. We've been really passionate about quality and customer experience and employee experience, and really making a difference in people's lives. Our purpose, our mission statement is to improve lives and to exceed expectations. We call it ILE for short. And that's the business we're in. We're in the business of exceeding expectations and improving lives. And when the circumstances presented itself where through several degrees separations, our two organizations came together, I can't tell you how grateful we are, excited we are, and it really has been an amazing fit. We've been working at this for quite a while, the two organizations, and it hasn't felt like work one bit, not one bit. And so, Dr. Sanderson, thank you so much for inviting us to the dance. Hopefully we won't step on your toes too badly. All right, so just a little bit about me. It's not something I enjoy talking about too much, but she wanted me to share a little bit so that you guys had some sense of who the heck is this guy, Chance Becknow. Well, I was born in 1969. You'll see there a baby picture in the top right corner, a big old fat, happy, pudgy baby in South Louisiana. I was born on the bayou. Below the baby picture, I included a little picture of the bayou. And so there are parts of that part of the country that are really beautiful and nothing like a sunset on the bayou. And I did spend most of my childhood pictured in the center, a really beat up old trailer. And we were as dirt poor could be. You know, I can remember even early on the term trailer park trash. You know, even thinking now, it stings wide and it stings deep, but that was common for me and my family growing up as poorly as we did. And if that wasn't bad enough, in on the left, the family picture, this happens to be the last family picture that was taken. The greatest man I never knew was my late father, Ronald Raymond Duke Becknell. This picture was taken in 1972, the last family picture before he passed tragically at 26 years old of a heart attack. Behind, a beautiful wife, Sandra, the greatest mother on the planet of the earth. My older brother sitting in my dad's lap in this picture, Ron, who happened to be 5 years old at the time, and me, the mama's boy in my mom's lap. I was 2.5 when he died. And if all that wasn't bad enough, my mother was also 6 months pregnant for my soon-to-be baby brother, Toby. And so when I look back on those early years, you know, I really understood loss. I knew hardships and I knew suffering in high definition. You know, I knew what it felt like to really struggle as a human being. And I made the decision that I was not going to be a victim to the lot that life gave me. And so I was determined to tap into what I believe to be the boundless potential of the human spirit, to overcome, to transform, and to transcend the most challenging situations humanly possible. And with a lot of help along the way, I've kind of found my own way in life. And those early years inspired me to get into a profession where I could truly help people. And as a result of that, for the last 30 years, I have been in the senior healthcare profession around the country, and it has been the most humbling, rewarding, uplifting, joyous, amazing experience possible. And I'm so grateful that I was blessed to do what I do day in and day out. And I'm equally blessed and so grateful for the work that we're about to do with Dr. Sanderson and Carrie and her team. We're about to exceed a lot of expectations, and we're about to improve a lot of lives. So with that, I turn it back over to you. Thank you, Heather.
Thank you, Chance. Thank you for sharing your story. I know that can be a little bit vulnerable, and yet the stories are what's so powerful, right? Because we are meeting people at their most vulnerable when they have dementia, right? When their cognitive faculties are leaving them. And our goal is to turn it around. So I wanted to share the story of Jean, who moved in May of 2020, soon after the pandemic hit. And when she arrived, they had been living independently. Her and her husband had been living independently, and perhaps a little unsafely. You know, I think with the pandemic and all of the chaos that was going on, it was easy to kind of lose track of just how bad their cognitive decline had gotten. And she moved into Marama, and I have my 4-year-old daughter, and my daughter was 1 when she moved in. And I could see that she would remember I had a daughter, but not the details. Well, now when I show up, she says, "How's Nadia?" She must be 3 now? She knows her name. She knows her age. It's amazing. And her daughter has told us how, I'll be telling my mom blah, blah, blah about the pandemic and the vaccines or this or that. And she will finish my sentences and tell me that she's already been told that. Don't tell me again. I already knew that. So she went from somebody who struggled to remember words, struggled to put sentences together, struggled to kind of stay involved in the day-to-day and remember what was coming next on the agenda, to being someone who finishes her daughter's sentences. Really, really amazing and impressive. And she's also gotten the mental health benefits, gone from having a lot of anxiety to feeling much more at peace day to day. So it has been really, really beneficial. A lot of people will ask us, how long does someone stay at Marama? How long will someone stay at the Clear Mind Center? what we've seen with some of our residents is that they don't want to leave, right? It's such a great environment. There's such great community. The food is so good. The activities are so much fun that they'd rather just keep hanging out, rather just stay. And their loved ones see that they continue to get better. Jean is one of these who has shown us, she's been there for nearly it'll be 3 years in May. And I kind of thought people would get better and then plateau. I said that to Dr. Bredesen, that I was surprised that she keeps getting better. And he was like, well, of course, because as you get on that virtuous cycle, the neurons, you get more neuroplasticity, and you build on the benefits that you've already gotten, and it just keeps getting better and better, not that downhill slide that so many people expect with dementia. So we're excited. She is another person who is proving what is possible for those suffering with dementia. Watching her get better has been one of the privileges of my life. Another resident, Christine, her daughter is just so impressively and amazingly dedicated to supporting her. And they go on fun trips and they do so many fun things together. And she is one of the ones who reminds us how to garden. She has all kinds of tips and tricks and things that she learned, and she really is an expert at it. She's also an expert at celebrating and at collaborating and at being a friend and following the sunshine, seeing sunshine where there is none, and being just this source of positivity in everyone's life. She has come a very long way, and her family also notices when she goes on those vacations and when she goes to visit them for holidays and graduations. Her family notices the difference in how much she's engaging, in who she's remembering, and the stories that she's telling, and they are getting those moments with her that they wouldn't have otherwise. It has been so wonderful to see. And this picture in the middle of the ladies of Marama, it's just a pleasure to watch them interact, to find that community, to find those friends, to find those peers, versus being, I think there was an article in the newspaper this past weekend talking about seniors being so isolated and living alone, which a lot of people think of as a good thing, but we know that there are mental health and cognitive health detriments to living alone and being more and more isolated. Specifically, as your cognitive function is declining, it can be more isolating because of embarrassment or challenges or overwhelm. And being in this community is absolutely priceless. You get so much benefit, and we see that firsthand, that people engaging in community really, really helps to benefit their cognitive function and, of course, mood. So again, the website is maramaexperience.com/apply. And what you get from being at Marama is that peace of mind that you are getting the best in brain health, that it is all under one roof. You're getting that engagement, the laughter, the connection, the community, the celebration, and all of that is happening at Marama. So what we are offering tonight is that you can join this priceless community. We finally, after over a year, have space available for people to get the benefit of the Bredesen Protocol in this immersive experience, in this community experience. And so you will get a one-on-one call with Carrie to discuss your unique situation. We get it. No two situations are alike. Sometimes there are siblings caring for mom or dad. Sometimes it's a spouse. Sometimes it's a friend, or it's a sibling of the person who is suffering with dementia. And so we want you to have the benefit of chatting with Carrie. Again, Carrie's on the call tonight. She's there answering questions in the chat, and she is an expert in this. She has been our director of operations for 2 years over at Marama, and she has seen it all. She has discussed so many things with patients and with families, and we want to make sure that this is the right fit from all perspectives, right? We want to be confident that we can help, and we want to be confident that your loved one is going to be happy at Marama. And so it's just a matter of discussing all that entire unique situation, making sure that we can meet the level of care that they need, and discussing all of that, and making, just dotting our I's, crossing our T's, making sure your loved one is in the best spot. So as I mentioned, there are only 14 rooms available. We have had a wait list for over a year. This email went out to 80,000 people. And there's just so much coming up. So if you are interested, please, please, please get your application in right away, because these rooms will not last long. For the first 14 people only, because we are so excited, we are offering a $2,000 discount tonight. And again, we don't think that this will last probably after tonight. So if you want to take advantage of this, please do it tonight. There's a money back guarantee, so there is absolutely no risk to you. But for the first 14 residents, you fill out the application on the Marama Experience Apply page, and fill out the application, follow the links to the community fee. That $5,000 community fee is for only the first 14 people. After we collect that from 14 people, it will go up to $7,000. That is our typical move-in rate at this point. And if you have other questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I know that there's so much to discuss, so much to go over, but we want to make sure that those of you who have joined us for this call get the benefit of this discount. So again, once we sell out, this will go out to $7,000. Right now, it's only $5,000. If you are at all like Colette, she and her husband, Jim, have been planning to travel as soon as Jim retires, and he is so close. He's like 6 months from retiring, but Colette's mom has dementia, and they've been looking forward to these trips to Peru and China and Scotland for years. These are once in a lifetime trips. They've been saving for them and dreaming of them, but Colette just does not have the heart to leave her mom. When she found out that there was room available at Marama, she was overjoyed, because it put them back on track to be able to enjoy these trips. She and Jim can go on these trips together and not have to worry about her mom, because she knows that she is going to be in the best place possible for her brain health, and she's going to be well taken care of by a team of people who have her best interests and are expecting her to get better. And so they are looking forward to seeing her when they get back, and also to sending postcards from wherever they are around the world. If you are like Richard and you want to remember the names of your grandkids, consider moving into Marama. So Richard was starting to forget the names of his grandkids. Now, to be fair, he has a lot of them, but he struggled to remember them, and his kids were noticing. He was noticing and embarrassed, and he wanted to get into ketosis. He was aware he's a retired doctor. He's a physician, and so he got the science. He understood it. He wanted to get into ketosis, but he lives in the Midwest, not far from Chance. And his grandkids were always bringing over pizza and ice cream and cake, and there's a lot to celebrate. There's always a birthday with a big family. There's always something to celebrate. And his older daughter finally decided she was going to get into ketosis with him. She read the Bredesen book, got it, and they got into ketosis together. And sure enough, he started remembering all of his grandkids' names. He also knew the names of the farm animals and the dog next door, and lots of other neighbors, and names were his big issue. He couldn't remember names, but he also had other word finding issues with nouns, and all of that went away. Well, guess what? He fell out of ketosis, and he started forgetting the names again. So he got back into ketosis. And by that point, all of the siblings, I think there's like 7 kids. His oldest daughter is the one who got him into ketosis finally, but it's a big family. That's why there's so many grandkids. So the 7 kids, now they are all finally on the same page, because they watched what happened to Richard when he went in and out of ketosis. And so Richard has the benefit of his oldest daughter supporting him and getting him into ketosis and being totally committed. If you need more support than Richard has it at home, if you need more support, then consider applying for Marama and for the Clear Mind Center. These spots are going to go fast. And so, and people need the support. We get it. We see it. And then if you're like Nora, consider Marama and the Clear Mind Center. This might be the right place for you. If you are dedicated to seeing someone graduate, if you're dedicated to getting to that next summer, that next Christmas, and you want to be there fully present in mind and body, Nora's story is so heartbreaking, but also so hopeful. Her grandson had cancer as a baby, and she spent years supporting her daughter so that they could get him to doctor's appointments and treatments and oncologists. And there were times when they weren't sure he was going to make it. And now he is in college. And she wants to see him walk across that stage. She wants to be there for those moments. And so she is so excited that there is more space at a place like the Clear Mind Center, because she wants to go there, get the benefit, and then be able to be at that graduation. It is in June of 2024 is when he is expecting to graduate. So she has 18 months to get her cognition on track. And she's excited to do that with the support of an immersive experience like Marama. So if you are like Nora or like Colette or like Richard, please apply for a spot at the Clear Mind Center. You will fill out this initial application. We are partnering so much with them that Carrie is taking these calls because she knows how to do it all. And we're training the people at the Clear Mind Center as we get all of our ducks in a row and pieces in place. And so you will talk with Carrie, who is on the Marama team, and then she will introduce you to the Clear Minds team. So this is what the application page looks like. So you will go to that maramaexperience.com/apply and fill out the application, schedule that call with Carrie. She'll talk you through the entire process, answer all of your questions, and then determine if it's a great fit. And again, that $5,000 is a community fee that is discounted from $7,000. And there is a money back guarantee. If at any point you and Carrie decide for any reason at all, no questions asked, that this is not the right move for you, we just refund your money, your deposit, not to worry. That is just to get your place in line. Let us know that you're serious about moving forward and secure your spot. So do that now if you have any consideration that you want to do this, because they won't last. Again, we sent this email out to 80,000 people, 2,000 people signed up for this webinar tonight and shared their interest with us. I've been on calls all day today with people who are curious about a spot at Marama. So please, please, please let us know if you're serious about moving forward so that we can save that spot for you. And then thank you. You are the inspiration. You are why we all do this. Your dedication to your loved ones, your commitment to finding out what's possible for those suffering with dementia is why we each show up at work and help. Is because we want to see people enjoy those relationships. And that last text message, have one more birthday or 2 more birthdays or 10 more birthdays. Those summers, those experiences with the people you love. So thank you so much for your commitment and for being here. We are now going to answer some questions. All right, I'm going to head over to the Q&A. So, awesome. How do we turn up the volume? I hope you've figured out that. Okay, so what does Dr. Bredesen mean when he uses the phrase slightly ketogenic? That is a great question. And the slightly ketogenic is probably in ketosis, but you're getting like 0.5 to 1.0 readings. I use a Keto Mojo. So that's the one that we recommend. There are breath meters and there are other ways that people say that that you can get into ketosis and measure your ketone levels, but the Keto Mojo is the one that I have the most faith in. It's the one I like the most, and it is you prick your finger and use a little strip. Oh, I love it. Thank you, Chance. There's the Keto Mojo. And what you see on there is a number. If it has a 0 at the beginning and it has a 0.5 up to 0.9, then that's mild ketosis, or maybe what Dr. Bredesen is calling slightly ketogenic. What we have seen, and this is more anecdotal, we haven't totally measured this in a super scientific way, but what I have seen is that the higher that ketone level, if you can get to a 3 or 4, you get even more cognitive benefit. So we see people go from mochas of 20 to mochas of 30 when they consistently can get those ketone levels up like around 2, 3, 4. Julie has a great question. What is my experience with the green mattress compared to the avocado mattress? So I personally sleep on a migraine mattress and I do love it. The issue I was having with avocado, I love them. My guest room has an avocado mattress and Marama has all avocado mattresses, but we had issues with their customer service. So it was hard to get a hold of people. And that was really what made me switch to the migraine mattress. I got the latex one with no springs and I love it. I sleep very well on that mattress and I would highly recommend it. And Julie has another great question, the difference between the Live O2 and the EWAT system. Live O2, Live O2. And these are oxygen systems. So you want to be exercising with oxygen therapy is EWOT, EWOT, exercising with oxygen therapy. And Live O2 typically has contrast oxygen therapy, where you can go from positive to negative O2. And so these I'm going to actually go into in December. We are going to host another webinar, so keep an eye on your emails. We're going to host more webinars about the other 4 pillars, the other 3 pillars at Marama. So you're going to learn more about Live O2, EWOT, exercise, activities, all of those things I'm going to dive into. We also have recorded webinars that are available. And so if you want to learn more about those, we have the previous activities webinars. And if you want to, Julie, just leave your email address, we can maybe get you that, a link to that. So Cindy is asking, can I expand on when I said that we got everyone into ketosis and stayed there? How was ketosis measured? Great question. So the way that we measure is the Keto Mojo. The Keto Mojo is the one that I like best. Urine ketones, that works for about a month. Like kind of as people are keto adapting, you'll see ketones in the urine. Not always, but often those ketones actually disappear after about a month. So I like to use blood ketone levels all the time from beginning to end. And then the breath meters, I know that there are breath meters out there, and I have just never seen them get consistent results. We were not able to get it to work. Carrie also is often in ketosis, and so she knows when she's in ketosis. She's compared blood levels to breath meters. It would be so much easier to be able to use a breath meter than to get a finger stick, but the finger stick is the best way to do it. Blood is what we rely on.
Dr. Sanderson, can you
Yes.
also double click on the benefit of the continuous glucose monitoring, as it measures different things, but some people most people would benefit from at least being on that occasionally as well.
Yeah. So great question. So the CGM, or the continuous glucose monitors, the one that I got was from the Levels app, I guess, Levels Health, LEVELS, Levels Health. And the CGM, the continuous glucose monitor, it doesn't hurt at all, but there's a small little needle that goes into your arm, and then it gets stuck onto your bicep or your tricep for about 2 weeks. And in that time, you can use your phone to just scan it, and it'll tell you what your blood sugar is at any given moment. And this is one of the most educational experiences I have ever had in my life. Learning what my blood sugar does day to day with the different things I eat. It is different for everyone. Everyone is unique in their metabolism, and this changes over time as well. So if you're young and an athlete, it's going to look like one thing. And then as you age, it's going to look different. If you're pregnant or breastfeeding, it's going to look different. If you're getting plenty of sleep, it's going to look different. If you're under stress, it's going to look different. And so having that real-time feedback about what your blood sugar is doing is extremely valuable. Now, Julie makes a really great point. I do not think that anybody should be in ketosis forever. Just like I don't think that anyone should be in glycolysis or burning sugar for fuel forever. The ketogenic diet is very much an ancestral diet. So if you think back to our hunter-gatherer ancestors, the idea was that if you couldn't find food, if you couldn't find carbohydrates, you needed your brain to kick into gear, right? So when you're fasting, when you're in ketosis, when you have fat to burn as fuel and not sugar, your brain actually turns on so you can go find that carbohydrate source. And what you want is to go back and forth. You want that dynamic ability to use both ketones and sugar, glucose, for fuel. And we often will burn ketones more efficiently, particularly as we age. Even if you don't have diabetes, your brain is often less sensitive to both insulin and carbohydrates as we age. And so we want to flip that switch. 99% of us have never been in ketosis, right? Because we have a standard American diet, or we're in a world, right? Very unlike our hunter-gatherer ancestors. We live in a world where there are abundant carbohydrates available 365 days a year, every hour of the day, right? And so we have basically been using our bodies in a way that they weren't designed for, right? They were designed to go back and forth from ketosis to glycolysis. And so what I recommend for those who are suffering with cognitive decline, or even at high risk of cognitive decline, maybe they already have some subjective cognitive decline, it's not measured, but they're noticing their brain isn't as sharp as it was 10 years ago, get into ketosis for 3 to 6 months continuously, and then go back and forth. Like, what do? I get into ketosis for about 6 weeks, twice a year. And because I love the benefits of it, it feels so good. And like I said earlier tonight, I'm probably going to go right back into it right now because it felt that good. And so you can go back and forth. For people who maybe are ApoE4 positive, they have 1 or 2 copies, but they have no cognitive decline. They're in their 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s. I tell them, get into ketosis for maybe 1 month a quarter. So you're spending 1 month or even like 1 week a month. There's some sort of back and forth you can do where you're switching between ketosis and glycolysis and flexing that muscle. Okay. And then I'm a vegetarian from Adrian. Great point, Adrian. One of the cookbooks, the keto cookbooks that I love most is called Ketotarian by a doctor named Will Cole. And I think that is a great place to start as a vegetarian looking into getting into ketosis. You do not have to have huge amounts of meat. I do think that avoiding animal protein entirely, so being vegan, is very challenging. And I would not recommend that anybody sustain a vegan ketogenic diet. It's just too restrictive. But vegetarian can definitely be done if you're willing to have eggs, and especially if you're willing to have fish, like wild caught salmon and that kind of thing. But fish and dairy, if you're willing to do those things, that's highly doable. So from Vanita, I'm not sure if my housemate has the beginnings of dementia, but I'm trying to get her on a ketogenic diet. She can't afford our costs, but are there any resources I can access to guide her? Well, one place to start is the Bredesen book. So this is the End of Alzheimer's program by Dr. Dale Bredesen. This is one of the most recent books. It's a fantastic source of support. Then we have at Solseri and at Marama, we have the Marama at Home course. So that is another thing that you can do. It's me sharing kind of like this webinar, but more guided by these 12 modules where we go through the 4 pillars very in depth. And so that's a way to help you create Marama at home. A lot of what's challenging for people is that once you're cognitively declined, it's much more overwhelming to make these changes. And so that's part of why we offer the immersive experience. But of course, I would love for people to stay living amongst their loved ones with people like you. We do offer a training program to help people support their loved ones at home. And that's the Marama at Home course. And we have coaching that goes with that as well, if you would like that. So Kathy has a question. We always use raw nuts, and you said that you roast them. Yeah, sometimes we roast them. We do both. Is from Michael. Is it open for Latin people with dementia who only speak Spanish? My mother has Alzheimer's and only speaks Spanish. So we have Spanish speaking caregivers at both facilities. And so that is not an issue. One of the issues that we have run into is people coming, we've had applicants from South Africa, Japan, and Canada. And the issue that comes up is visas. And so we have not figured out a way to get up over that hurdle yet, but for as long as your mother is Spanish speaking and can stay in the US for at least 12 months, yeah, there is no problem with that. Chandel has a great question. Can you address the dairy on a ketogenic diet? I understand that dairy is inflammatory and not recommended on the Bredesen protocol, and yet you recommend cream cheese in your recipe for fat bombs and use cream cheese. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about this controversy. This is such a great question. I love it. All right. So, and this is, Dr. Bredesen published his book, The End of Alzheimer's, in 2017. That was 6 years ago. Like, we did not know then how important ketosis was. We have learned so much in that time. We are on a very steep learning curve as this whole process, the Bredesen Protocol, has gained more and more momentum. And so my opinion is that if you're not lactose intolerant, as long as you're eating very good, high quality dairy that is grass-fed, organic, then I am of the opinion that you don't want to be too restrictive. You want to add more calories, particularly if you are a smaller, older woman. I don't want you getting frail. And so add calories and use dairy to do that. You're not going to be in ketosis forever. So I often will recommend that people go back and forth between ketosis and something that's like plant-based. You can absolutely, people are talking about using A2 milks. Yes, you can do that. Dairy causes inflammation for some people, but not everyone. You're not going to be, and if you're in a generally anti-inflammatory diet, you've taken all the sugars out, you're adding lots and lots of great fish oils through salmon, through, probably through supplements. If you're doing all of that, I think that you can tolerate a little bit of dairy, and it makes getting into ketosis that much easier because you're getting that full fat, I think only ever organic grass-fed full fat dairy. However, I get the inflammatory piece. A lot of people will say that dairy is highly inflammatory. We're not talking about ice cream. We're talking about hard cheeses, European cheeses, grass-fed butter, like half and half. Those kinds of things it can be very, very, very nutritious and satisfying and help you to get the benefits of ketosis, which Dr. Bredesen will agree we have learned is more important than he realized in 2017. What does it take to get a prescription for a CGM and have Medicare or Obamacare pay for it? You'll have to talk to your provider. So talk to your doctor. Some people have to have a diagnosis of some sort of glucose imbalance, some sort of diabetes potentially. So not everyone can get it covered, but like I did it through Levels. It was very easy to get a prescription. I just had to pay for it. I think it was about $400 for the month, which is not free. How long do your patients fast every night? So we do a 14-hour fast. The dinner ends before 6 p.m. and then breakfast is at 8 a.m. So we do about a 14-hour fast, and we want to get, like the Bredesen Protocol says, you want to get that 3 hours between your last bite of food and going to sleep at night. So you go to bed with an empty stomach, not a full stomach. All right. Chance, I want to make sure that do you have any questions?
Well, I see one of the persons, anonymous, asked, what sugar substitute do you prefer? And so I personally like organic stevia and use that primarily more than anything else. Although there's the other one, Dr. Sanderson, that it's eluding my memory at present.
Monk fruit? Monk fruit is our favorite.
Yes, I actually do use both of those. I also saw another question in the chat earlier during the presentation about the effects of being in ketosis on cholesterol levels, and one person was had his physician all up in arms because of the LDL was going through the roof. And I have a bit of a personal experience with this, that my old primary care physician, who was not up to speed on all things tied to some of the newest science tied to not only keto, but also the different aspects of cholesterol. And so anyway, what's your professional opinion on ketosis and cholesterol?
Yes. Okay. So what I've seen over and over again is if you get into ketosis, temporarily your cholesterol will go up, but by about 12 weeks, it's coming down because you're burning fat for fuel. So that cholesterol is getting eaten up and used as fuel. Temporarily, it will go up. So if you're working with a doctor who doesn't understand that can be a problem. The other issue I see people run into is that they increase their fats, but they don't bring their carbohydrates down enough. So they haven't actually gotten into ketosis. They're not burning fat for fuel. And that is a problem because when you have sugar plus high fat, this is like a milkshake diet. This actually puts you at very high risk for cardiovascular disease and dementia. This is inflammation. This is a recipe for disaster and absolutely for more inflammation. If you are increasing sugar and fats at the same time, that is not going to get you where you want to go. So you have to be fully committed to getting into ketosis. You cannot raise fats and not get rid of the sugar.
What about the potential connection? I don't want to lead you too much with my questions. The connection between having a diet that is both high in fat and carbohydrates and obesity.
Oh yeah, obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, all of it. I mean, this is why, it's just so sad. Like, this is why there's an epidemic of chronic disease in our societies, because of the standard American diet, which is high in processed foods, high in sugar, high in carbohydrates, high in the fats that are not good for us, saturated fats. This is like fried foods, things like that. So we're not talking about having a bunch of fried foods. We're talking, or a bunch of like, big ag meat and hamburgers. We're talking about good grass-fed, high quality organic animal proteins. And even that, Dr. Bredesen will say have meat as a condiment. I don't want people to be, when you're older, I want you to have abundant calories. This is not a calorie restrictive diet. This is abundance in terms of all of except for carbohydrates, right? Lots of protein, lots of fat, lots of veggies, and lots of water, lots of minerals. We want all of those nutrients coming in except carbohydrates. So I don't want to tell you to restrict much outside of the carbohydrates. I want you to have everything else, because I just see too many people restrict too much.
Well, I will tell you from with an N of one experience that when I'm in ketosis, which I'm in the majority of the time, I do cycle out several times a year so that I can get additional fruits and vegetables and whatnot. But when I am in ketosis, I definitely notice, I lost my train of thought. What were we just mentioning?
The cholesterol and the animal proteins.
I lost it. I absolutely apologize. All right, so back to, I'm trying to keep up to date with the questions. There was a question about oils, the different kinds of oils, and is there a recommended type of oil to use with cooking or dressings or whatnot?
Such a great question. So coconut oil is a really great one. Avocado oil, coconut oil, and olive oil. The olive oil, I don't tend to cook with. We use that just for dressing salads, doing things that aren't going to be cooked so that it stays at a lower temperature, doesn't become saturated, or the smoke point is a little bit lower. But coconut oil, because, if it's solid at room temperature, it probably has a higher smoke point. So butter and coconut oil can be used for cooking things at higher temperatures. And I recommend using those, and that's what we use at Marama.
Awesome, thank you. And I apologize, still can't remember where I was going with that other point, but maybe it'll come to me here shortly. Another great question is, are there benefits to having a longer fast than than what we do at the unit at 14 hours?
Yeah. So that's such a good question. Now, by law in the state of California, we cannot restrict eating past that. We need to feed everyone at, multiple times a day and at certain hours. And I think, like, of course, with elderly folks, we really want to make sure that people are not restricting their eating too much. We don't want to encourage frailty. What we need is strength and like abundance, again, of nutrients. And so for those who are younger and maybe looking to lose weight, then yes, longer fasts or intermittent fasting, even going up to 20 hours, 24 hours, 36 hours, 48 hours, people can fast and feel really, really, really good. I have gotten so much benefit from fasting myself. I usually like to go away to a retreat center to do that, where there isn't a lot of distraction in food and I can just like lay by the beach and read a book. But for some people, they create a lifestyle out of it and they will fast for a day a week or a couple days a month and cycle in and out of that. Or some people will also do fasting, intermittent fasting for 14, 18, 16, whatever, so many hours a day. They'll skip breakfast or they'll skip dinner. That is, I highly recommend it. Lots of people love it. If you're worried about losing too much weight, I don't encourage it.
I think we'll do like 2 more questions.
And then wrap it up.
That sounds about, okay, very good. So a quick one. Christine asked about organic erythritol as a potential positive option. She's heard negative comments, but not any real reason to stay away from it. Yeah,
such a great question. So all of these sugar alcohols, they can cause diarrhea, and even monk fruit. Too much of it will upset your tummy. So just be careful, add moderate amounts, and then like anything, probably mix it up. If you can't tell yet, I like variety. I don't want to restrict anybody except for those carbohydrates, except for no high fructose corn syrup, no highly processed foods. But outside of that, it's like fair game. And I think that having a variety in your sweeteners is part of that is too, as long as it's not raising your blood sugar. Monk fruit, and part of it too, I think I don't even really think about sweeteners too often. I have a bag of monk fruit that I've had for 6 or 8 months. I just don't sweeten things anymore because it tastes so sweet and I don't crave it, especially when I'm in ketosis. So really those sweeteners are to kind of get you up over the hump. And monk fruit is the one that I see best tolerated by the most people. And then with the sugar alcohols like xylitol, erythritol, stevia as well. The xylitol it's highly antimicrobial. And so some people will experience die-off and it will affect their gut microbiome. Stevia is a biofilm disruptor that also can produce a Herxheimer reaction or kind of a worsening of symptoms if there is an infectious burden. And then the monk fruit, I don't see that with.
Beautiful. And last question. From an anonymous attendee, how long do you think it normally takes to get in ketosis?
Such a great question. Yes. I can't believe I didn't share that. Thank you for reminding me. So for most people, the first time they get into ketosis, if they are not keto adapted, it takes about 72 hours or 3 days. And so you can be on the struggle bus for a few days. When I get into ketosis, when I did it in May, I couldn't help but laugh at myself because all I could think about was donuts for about 24 hours. And I haven't eaten a donut in about 15 years. And I could not stop thinking about donuts. And I was just obsessed with carbohydrates. And I think we think like, oh, it's because my body needs it. But really, it's just because we're addicted. We are physiologically addicted to sugar. And we have to get up over that hump and like literally detoxify from the sugar. And that can take about 3 days. But once you're there, it is so worth it. Sorry, Dennis.
Very good. Thank you very much. All right. So if you want to wrap up, closing thoughts, Dr. Sanderson, for the audience.
It is just such a privilege to be doing this with you, Chance. I couldn't be more grateful and inspired by your passion, your commitment to the people that you serve, and just like how good you guys are at everything that you do. We are inspired and so grateful to be partnering with you and cannot wait to serve these lucky 14 residents who are going to get to move in with you. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Thank you all for participating tonight. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Good night,
Bye,
everyone.
guys.